Okay, we're back. Hi, everybody. So, the first part of this show we recorded on YouTube and we talked about the glutathione. And now I'd like to be more unscripted and
Yeah.
go ahead and talk more about it. So, why did you get in? I've always seen naturopathic doctors.
Yeah.
And my dad hasn't seen a regular doctor until this event happened. We thought he was having a stroke, but he
Yeah.
ended up, yeah. So he ended up having brain surgery because there was I'm going to call it a cyst, but that got taken out. So it has been a crazy experience with the regular medical system. And he's
Yeah, it
lucky to
is.
be alive at this point. Yeah.
Well, and just to clarify, even though I'm a naturopath, a practicing naturopath, I I'm right there with you. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't do what I do. I think the best approach is always to correct things at the root problem, which medical doctors are not trained to do that. That's not what they do. But there is a place and time for what you call traditional, medicine, medical doctors or DOs, right? And I think, like in that situation, that was probably appropriate. But, medical doctors they're not even trained to fix root problems. They're trained to deal with symptoms. And
Mhm.
especially since big pharma has a lot of their tentacles in all of this, unfortunately, it's in a lot of cases, not every medical doctor is like this, but most of them, just because this is how the system has worked for so long, it's become highly profitable, and this is what they do. They're glorified drug dealers, is what they are, unfortunately. And so they're mostly treating symptoms. They're managing symptoms. They're just trying to keep you from your blood pressure getting too high, or your cholesterol getting too high, or your diabetes getting out of control, and you basically dying from these symptoms. But all of these symptoms are just that, they're symptoms, and all they're doing is managing symptoms. They're not actually fixing the root problem. Naturopaths go to the root problem, and unfortunately we don't always know what it is, so we have to do a lot of troubleshooting and trial and error with stuff. But there's a lot of basics that we know to go to right away. But pretty much the basis of naturopathy is just getting back to putting the things in your body that it needs to operate cleanly and correct its own problems. And, we always do this thing where, it's like, well, we have to say, because of the FDA and other three-letter agencies that are, by the way, unconstitutional. But and they violate our freedom of speech all the time. But unfortunately, it's become mainstream for courts just to violate people's rights. And
Mhm.
I'm glad we're finally getting to the point where that's being recognized and we're clearing that up. But still, we say things like, none of this is intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This is not medical advice, blah, blah, blah. Well, and it's actually true. It's not, because I don't give medical advice. I don't need or want to give medical advice. Your body is the only thing that can heal itself anyway. Your body's the only thing that can cure a problem with itself anyway. There's no drug out there. There's no magic bullet. There's nothing you can take that'll actually cure any disease. There's nothing you can take that'll cure any problem in your body. You can take things that your body can use to cure the problem or heal itself, but there's nothing you can take anyway that'll cure anything. Well, glutathione happens to be one of the most important things that your body needs to use to do just about anything you can imagine, down to the mitochondrial level, which is really important. And what it is, basically, glutathione, it's an endogenous antioxidant, and you find it in supplements in either oxidized or reduced forms. We don't do oxidized, which is GSSG. That's the abbreviation for it. We do it in the reduced form, reduced glutathione, which is GSH. And here's what happens with glutathione. It's number one, it's really unstable. So we found a way to stabilize it. I'm going to give you the short Cliffs notes, because I started thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm about to dive into some big long scientific explanation. Let's not do that, and people probably don't want to hear that. Let's keep it simple. As you age, your body loses its ability to produce glutathione. Okay. You can't really even get it from your diet. All you can do is get the raw materials for it, and your body has to make it. And I'm sure, did you ever hear about NAC, or N-acetylcysteine? It was
Yeah.
big during the COVID thing, right? Okay, well, there's a
Mhm.
reason for that. N-acetylcysteine, or NAC for short, is um, it's one of those things that your body uses as a precursor to make glutathione. And that's why it actually helped people with a lot of stuff during the whole COVID thing. Um, So people were taking it and it was helping. And of course it would, because again, your body's going to take what you put in it and it's going to do what it needs to do to heal itself or make things work better, right? Under normal circumstances. Um, here's the problem that we have. You can give your body all the N-acetylcysteine you want, or even L-cysteine. That's another thing your body can use to make glutathione. And you can give it all of that you want. But if your body's not making as much as it used to, like I'm 45 right now, that you're literally looking at the hair, face, and skin of a 45-year-old man, and this is because of a few years of using nano-sized glutathione. It's taken, I would say, 10 to 15 years off of my appearance, right? Um, Both external, because we have the skin spray as well, right? Because
Yeah,
it's got other
I
things in
love
it
that.
too, like nano-sized resveratrol, nano-sized B3, B5, hyaluronic acid, collagen, glutathione. It's got all kinds of nano-sized stuff in it that goes right into the cells in the skin immediately, or pretty close to immediately. But what happens is, so I'm 45. My body is producing about half of the glutathione that it used to produce when I was a kid, like 7 years old, right? That's what happens as you age. It goes down, 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 down. So you can keep giving it all the raw materials you want, like the NAC or the L-cysteine, to make its own glutathione. But if your body's ability is now diminished to make glutathione, it's not going to do anything. It would be like um, having a construction crew and you've only got two guys instead of 20 that you need, and the two guys you got are like both 80 years old and they're really slow, they can't hardly work. You can drop off all the construction materials on the site that you want, but if they can't get it done, it ain't getting done, right? So
Mhm.
how are you going to get the glutathione into your cells? Your body you have to have it. If a cell runs out of glutathione, it dies. And so that's what we recognize that problem. And glutathione is called the master antioxidant for a reason. It is the most important thing in the body. I mean, you could argue that other things are, but just for the practical purposes of what we're talking about in general, it's the most important thing in the body. That's why they call it the master antioxidant. And so if you're not producing as much as you used to, and this happens to everybody, and there's nothing you can do about it, you're going to have to introduce it back into the body if you want to slow down the aging process, if you want to be able to keep detoxing the way you did when you were younger, if you want to stay really healthy and young looking like you did when you were younger, you're going to have to get the glutathione back in your body somehow. And if you just swallow it, because there's a lot of glutathione stuff out there you can buy, like, liposomal glutathione is a big one. In my opinion, it's basically garbage. I mean, you look at the studies on it, very little of it actually gets absorbed. Because they wrap the glutathione in a liposome or a lipid, saying, okay, well, it's going to protect the glutathione so it can go through the stomach acids and it survives that. And then it gets into the intestines and absorbs into the intestinal wall. And now it's in your bloodstream. Cool. But from what I can see and what everything that's out there, all the studies show it, you get maybe like 20 to 25% of it max, right? With ours, it's if not 100% available, it's damn near 100%, and it's instant, immediate bioavailability because it's
Mhm.
bypassing all that. It's absorbing directly into the bloodstream in the mouth sublingually immediately. And then there's other glutathiones too, like you can buy the powders because they're more stable when you keep them cold, and then you can mix it up in purified water, distilled water, whatever. But it's still not nano-sized. Or even if it is, it's like, well, how stable is it? Do you know how much you're getting? There's all kinds of factors, environmental factors you don't know about. So we solved all those problems. We came up with a proprietary stabilization and suspension system for the glutathione in this bottle, and for a fact that it's going to work unless for some reason somehow something got, like, the bottle just got super hot or something, which it's not going to during regular shipping. But like if it got heated up to like boiling or something, well, yeah, it's probably going to destroy the nutrient. That's
Right.
anything. It's like if you burn your toast, it's going to taste like crap, and you're not going to get anything out of it really, except for charcoal. But under normal conditions, we fixed that problem. And so you have two choices. You can either go to a clinic and get an expensive infusion with an IV or an injection of glutathione, and you can keep doing that every day, or you can just get the elixir in the bottle and put it in your mouth. And again, it tastes like fruit punch or bubble gum, depending on how you want to look at it. And it's all natural stuff because we put like pineapple, orange, and strawberry oil in it, and there's no sugar in it, by the way, either. But
No.
to give it that flavoring, it's flavored with stevia. So if you don't like stevia, I don't. Yeah, you can't taste the stevia to me. I don't know. What do you think? It's just it's sweet, right?
No,
But
I didn't taste any stevia. I mean,
yeah,
I
so
tasted
that's
that
how
it
we
was
do it.
sweet,
Yeah.
yeah,
You,
but I
you do
didn't
you think it
taste
tastes? I think it tastes like fruit punch. And then I think our secondary product was, which is the Panacea. It's an MCT oil. You drink more of it because the main point of this is the MCT oil itself. Because there's like bodybuilders and athletes, they discovered, well, if I drink MCT oil, it gives me a lot of sustained energy. It suppresses my appetite. It helps the gut, helps heal the gut, leaky gut, stuff like that, right? And what helps with that also in ours it's not just MCT oil, it's nano-sized glutathione and nano-sized collagen infused MCT oil. And
Mhm.
it does the same thing. If you swish it in your mouth, the nano-sized glutathione that's in it, it's going to absorb. It's not as much as the elixir, but there's still a good amount in it. There's actually the same amount, if not a little bit more, of the nano-sized glutathione in our Panacea, which is our secondary product, as what's in some of the other products out there on the market that's their flagship product. Our flagship product has 5 times the amount of some really popular glutathiones out there. And there's, by the way, there's not that many true nano-sized glutathione companies out there. Um, but ours hands down blows away the competition. And we've got the receipts to back it too. In fact, um, and this is intentional. You can actually go look at the PubMed studies on glutathione. There's like 192,000 PubMed studies on glutathione now. You can go if you find the study. It doesn't say our name. It doesn't, for obvious reasons. It doesn't give a lot of things away. But it was actually, and it's the only one that I know of that was studied on our exact process in our products from the lab that we make this product in that showed the potency and the bioavailability of the glutathione in our product. I don't know anybody else that's done that unless they've done it in the private, because I haven't seen any other published studies like that. If they're out there, I'd like somebody to show me because I don't know about them. But it's also been showed too. I've seen there's PubMed studies done, but I can't remember where it was. I'm pretty sure it was mostly Asian researchers, scientists that did it because you can see the names of the
Mhm.
scientists and the researchers who did the study that were specifically studying the not our exact method, but the same type of methods we're using, where we're doing a nano emulsion of water and oil to suspend and preserve the nano-sized glutathione. And they also came to the conclusion that it does extend the life of the glutathione and help preserve it significantly. Because if you get glutathione like in a water base, for example, it breaks down very quickly. In fact, most, like these clinics that get the IV glutathione, it's all in water, right? So because that's what it has to be. It has to be very pure water in an IV, and then they're putting the glutathione in that. The pharmacies that make that for those clinics, they have to keep it at really cold temperatures. And most pharmacies, in fact, our researchers and doctors and developers, some of the people that work with us and helped us develop our formulas, uh, they have owned pharmacies in the past. And when they would make glutathione for these clinics that do the glutathione infusions, they refused to sell the glutathione if it was more than a day old, even keeping it at the right temperatures. That's how fragile and glutathione is and how fast it breaks down, especially in a water base. So if you're using a water-based glutathione, I'd encourage you to think about that again. That's why I moved away from water-based glutathiones too, because I used to promote water-based. And I'm not saying it's bad. Like you're still going to get benefit out of it. It's certainly better than taking nothing. But ours has been documented and shown clinically by third parties in our process and our system and the way we do it to be significantly better and more reliable and more stable. So,
Yeah, and you could tell right away. And we actually took the MTC oil first, and we were both like, "Wow,
oh, the Panacea.
yeah." Then we took
Oh
that
yeah,
first, and I was
that's
like,
not even
"Wow,
our
I feel
primary
amazing."
product. That's our secondary one. Yeah,
Yeah.
the elixir, the flagship product, the primary one, it has 5 times the amount of glutathione in it as the Panacea does.
Hmm.
But you
Yeah.
take them together and you're getting per dose, you're getting 180 milligrams of nanosized glutathione. Plus, you're getting all that nanosized collagen, right? Which is very important for a lot of people don't know this, but uh, our bodies also, just like it produces less and less glutathione every year as we age. Same thing with collagen. There's a lot of things in the body that the body produces less and less of every year. Your body also has to make its own collagen. Even if you eat collagen, if you drink it or whatever, your body still has to break all that down and then rebuild its own collagen. It can't just take it would be like a carpenter doing a remodel job and he just took, sections of walls from another job and brought it into your house and tried to stick it up and make it doesn't work. You have to break all the raw materials all the way down, your body does, and then it has to build its own. Well, again, just like our bodies start to lose ability and it diminishes every year on making glutathione. Same thing with collagen. And so there's been a lot of studies that show, and uh, a lot of doctors, a lot of scientists believe that it is um, due to the body's inability to make as much glutathione over the years, on top of all the toxic stuff we eat and the stuff that's going through our intestines, and what your intestines are bombarded with all the time is what leads to what they call leaky gut syndrome, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
collagen plays a big factor in that, and that's the belief. And so the idea, coupled with the MCT oil and the collagen, and especially since the glutathione's there too, because that just makes everything even easier for your body. It reduces oxidative stress. It reduces inflammation, which is why people take things like turmeric. Well, it's like the glutathione's better. Take that. Your body has to have it. Your body doesn't have to have turmeric. Um, and so it helps the body, again, to be able to heal itself. Like we're talking about the gut there. With the gut,
Mhm.
it can now start to heal itself easier. There's nothing you can take, not even our supplements, no drugs, no supplements out there, nothing out there you can take that'll cure any issue. The only thing you can do is clean your body up and give it the stuff that it needs to operate properly and repair itself. That's all you can do. It's really that simple. And we always say at Serona, it's kind of one of our trademark taglines: clean the cell, get well. You can actually hear it in our commercials, but it's true. It's really that simple. Clean the cell, get well, because the body knows what to do with everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I was visiting a naturopath for years when I had candida and all this crazy stuff with my thyroid. I'd been eating too much soy and just really
Yeah.
not okay. And basically, she said the cell develops kind of a hard shell around it. And as you heal, it opens up again and gets softer, and then you can
Uh-huh.
get your nutrients again.
Yeah,
So it
I
was
mean, I see
interesting.
that. I can see that as an explanation for it. Of course, most of the explanations you hear from naturopaths, especially, are going to be, and even medical doctors are more, if they know what they're talking about, it's still going to be more like generalized,
Mhm.
generic explanations that it doesn't necessarily literally do what we're saying. It's kind of like speaking in parables, almost like Jesus did. It's like it's the best way to explain it so people understand kind of what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to drop it into layman's terms,
Right.
really. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm doing that all the time with my own stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so tell us, like, I'm excited about this to come out. I'm excited to be using it.
Well, it's already out. Yeah, people can
Yeah.
get it right now today. I mean, use the links in this video wherever you put them. You put them in the chat or in
Yeah, in the
the
description.
comments or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but you can check it out. You can get it, and there's lots of. I think we actually have 7 products available right now. And the cool thing about how Sorona's set up, it's actually a nonprofit PMA. PMA is a private member association. So technically, it's outside of public jurisdiction. We did that for a reason. Everything's in the private contractual agreement between all the PMA members. In order to actually order in, to get any products, when you place an order, you are joining the PMA. You have to, because you're not technically even buying the products. When you go to make a purchase on the website and you see, the all the bottles of supplements that are coming with that order you're making, you're technically not even ordering the products. That package, that membership package that you're purchasing, is a 30-day membership into or I should say a 1 month, because some months it's a 1 month membership. Some months are longer than others on the
Mhm.
weird calendar we use now. But you're getting a 1 month membership into the PMA, and at whatever level you purchase or buy in at for your membership, those are the products that come with that membership package free. Okay. We are actually giving away the products. You're not paying for the products, you're paying for your membership. And because of that, there's no sales tax on the products because we're not selling the products. Why? Because there's no sales tax on memberships or services, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're not even paying sales tax either. So you're saving a lot of money there. Of course, there's shipping. We have to charge for shipping because we're charged for it. But you're not paying sales tax anywhere. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. Now, if you live outside of the U.S., we can still ship to you, but your country, depending on where it is, may charge you like an import fee or duty or whatever through customs in order to get your package. But that's because of them, not because of it has nothing to do with us. We can't control that. But you're still not paying sales tax from your order, so that's a big plus. And it makes it to where we have a lot more free reign to do things too that we normally wouldn't be able to do because now we're not subject to the ridiculous and unconstitutional rules of these three-letter agencies, right? That technically
Mhm.
don't even apply to us because they're not in the Constitution. They're not that, which is the supreme law of the land, and nobody voted for these three-letter agencies, right? And they're trying to make laws and rules and hold them over us and hold them us accountable to them, and they're not even real laws or real rules, you know. So anyway, but besides all of that, whatever law-abiding citizens decide to do in the private, this is the whole purpose of PMAs, is if you, it's the law of contracts, and that is in the Constitution. Whatever, the government's not allowed to interfere with any private contracts. Whatever two people of sound mind of legal age, meaning you're not a minor, right? um, Whatever you consent to do in a contractual agreement, you're allowed to do as long as you're not harming, damaging somebody else, trespassing, or violating their rights. And so that's what makes the PMA work. So just so you know, it may sound confusing if you're not used to the idea of a PMA, but I can tell you it works out way better for everybody because number one, the company's nonprofit. So that means there's, the prices are way lower because of it, because the company doesn't need to make a profit. Number two, since it's a private membership association, a PMA, it is outside of the public jurisdiction. It's in the private. So we're not going to have the weird stuff going on with three-letter agencies. And if they try, then they're violating our constitutionally protected rights. And, we can sue the crap out of them. And, there's nothing they can do about it. So we don't have to worry about that. And then also it just keeps the price down because the way we've structured it, we're not selling the product. You're buying a membership, a 1 month membership every purchase you make. That's another month membership. So even if you do 6 of the same thing at checkout, you're buying 6 months of worth of membership into the PMA, and you're getting all of those products for free with those 6 months of membership. So a lot of cool stuff and way we structured it. I don't know any other company who's ever structured things this way. I feel like they should because it saves people a lot of money. I feel like it's more ethical, it's more moral, especially if your goal is to help people get healthy. Now, if your goal is to just make money on people, yeah, package up garbage, package up stuff that's subpar, package up stuff that may not even be as good as what it possibly could be just so you can make money on people. We're not doing that. We don't operate in commerce. We're a private member association. We're a health ministry. So you're buying memberships, you're getting product with it for free with your memberships, and not paying sales tax because you're not buying the product. So that's what we did. It's awesome.
It is awesome. I have a friend, Mark Atwood, who's doing something
Oh, I love
similar.
Mark Atwood. Him and
Similar,
I are good
yeah,
friends too. So we have common
yeah.
friends, obviously.
Mhm. And I used to get goat milk from a PMA, and
Yeah.
we talk about PMAs quite a bit in another thing that I'm doing. But it's really cool. We know that these agencies are coming down and they're
Yep.
falling apart at this point, which is beautiful. But you're like ahead of the curve with it.
Yeah.
I want
But
to
even
keep,
when they come down fully, we're still going to keep it as a PMA just because we
oh yeah,
can. Like nobody can tell us what to do, right? And if we want to do that, we'll do it. And so we'll keep it that way.
absolutely. And it's good that you figured it all out because it is
Yeah.
kind of complicated to get it going.
Right. Yeah. For
Um,
sure.
so tell me a little bit about peptides because I want to hear what they really are. And I know glutathione, you said it's one, but I don't really understand them that well. And I don't think the audience really gets it either.
Well, they're really simple. I mean, honestly, I really would not want to do a whole show on peptides or even a big segment of a show on peptides. To put it simply, you can research it yourself. It's a lot of technical stuff, but the simple version of it is they're basically just chains of amino acids that are found in the body that are used in a variety of different products in the, like glutathione's a peptide. So basically we have peptides in ours, right? And we didn't want to say that on YouTube. That's one of the reasons why we switched over, because YouTube, I guess, the pharmaceutical gods that control YouTube, they don't want people knowing about the power of peptides, even though they're produced naturally in the body and they perform many natural functions, and including things like, tissue regeneration and hormone secretion and your metabolism and all that. Um, Insulin actually is a peptide. It's used to treat diabetes, obviously. The brain and the rest of the body contain thousands of different peptides, but yeah, if you really want to learn about peptides, I would just recommend doing a deep dive on your own and studying it, because it can get really boring. I don't know if it's going to answer any specific questions, but long story short, it's basically a peptide is a chain of amino acids, and everybody has heard about amino acids. You can walk into any health food store and buy amino acids, right? And now even peptides. But the question always is, with supplements and supplement companies, what's the quality of it? What's the bioavailability of it? Did they do heat and chemical extraction to create these products because it's cheaper and easier, and then that destroys the nutritive value and the bioavailability of the supplement? But we don't have that issue. Ours is very potent, very bioavailable, and very stable. That's the other thing. You have to look at the stability, because again, usually water-based products, especially if it's glutathione, will break down very quickly. That's a known scientific fact. That's why when they make glutathione in the water for the IVs, they have to keep it at a very cold temperature, and even then, it doesn't last very long. So, you always have to be mindful of, and I would say especially with peptides, because again, it's the chaining together of amino acids. Those chain links are kind of weak, and especially in certain peptides like glutathione, those chain links are weak. And again, that's a figure of speech, but they can break apart pretty easy. And now it's no longer glutathione; it's the amino acids that make up glutathione instead of just glutathione. So that's what you really have to look out for. But yeah, if people are interested in peptides, I would say do your own deep dive research
Mhm.
on what peptides actually are.
Yeah, it's a buzzword right now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and for those who want to know, because I'm sure people are going to ask in the chat, what what amino acids make up glutathione. It's actually considered a tripeptide because there's three of them, which is glycine, cysteine, and glutamic acid. Those are the three that make up glutathione. And that's why, again, taking the N-acetylcysteine, because cysteine is one of those amino acids in that peptide chain, um, that's why it helps your body make glutathione, because that's one of the things that has to go in there. And your body will take the glycine and the glutamic acid, and then it takes the cysteine from the N-acetylcysteine, the NAC, or if you're taking L-cysteine, kind of the same thing a little bit, and it makes its own glutathione. But again, if you're older, your ability to produce glutathione doesn't matter. You could have all the glycine, cysteine, and glutamic acid in your body that you want, but if your body can't make it, put it together, you got a problem. And that, again, happens naturally with age.
yeah. Yeah. We're like, have you been feeling all of the things that seem to be happening with the energies and all that? Did
Yeah,
you dive
people are
into
weird.
that?
Stuff is weird. Like we've even had we were gonna actually do our grand opening for Serona some time ago, but we just kept running into just ridiculous problems that shouldn't even be happening with the software development. And
Mhm.
of course, in order for us to do this the way we're doing it, to track all of the orders and all of the affiliates and everybody to get proper credit for it, because it has to work, it has to be fair. We can't just have stuff, loosey goosey flying around and like, oopsie, somebody didn't get credit for that. That's not okay. So we
Oh,
had to make sure that it was all perfect. And we just kept having weird problems along the way. And of course, there's the whole, arguments about planets in retrograde, especially like Mercury. That's always the favorite one. Well, blame it on Mercury. Mercury in the microwave. That's what it is. And whether that's it or not, I don't know. But there's definitely weird stuff going on. We've felt it. We've had to keep pushing things back a little bit just to be safe, to make sure things are working right. We've had a lot of extra obstacles to overcome. People are just weird. Things are weird. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific with that you want to talk about. Let's do it. But that's what I've noticed, and
yeah. To me, it's the ascension process, but
yeah.
we've been bubbling up stuff that we don't need anymore for months. And I call it the scuzz at the top of the pot. And we've had to
It
be
might be.
clearing that
Scope it
off
off,
over and
scrape it
over.
off.
Yeah. and it's been rough. I do feel like we're just about through a lot of that. So it's a
Yeah.
great time to launch your
Yeah.
company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are. And it's good, but yeah, it's like draining the swamp and getting the pond scum off of there, right?
Mhm. Totally. Yeah. So, and it's the perfect time because this is the future of how healthcare is going to be.
Yes. And
Um,
you're gonna see healthcare going the way of nanosizing at the biochemistry in the biochemistry sector, which is what we're doing. And then you're also going to see things in the physics sector and quantum physics especially. But be careful because it's really easy to get scammed in that stuff because people can just claim because there's no laws currently protecting against certain things because a lot of the technology isn't even known to legislators in what can happen, and a lot of the stuff is new. So you can get into what we would typically call snake oil salesman stuff. I'm seeing it a lot in the quantum physics sector where people are claiming all these supplements. They have this magic quantum thing going on with them, and it's like a cure
oh,
all for everything. And it's like, bro, it's literally just pseudoscience. It's snake oil salesman stuff. So be careful. The stuff that we're doing at Sorona, it is well established by decades and decades and decades of deep research by a lot of scientists and doctors and researchers worldwide. And what we have is cutting edge, really potent, really high quality, stable nano solutions that are proprietary to us because there's only a few labs in the world that even know how to do this type of stuff, and most of them aren't interested in doing what we're doing. So as far as I know, we're the only ones doing it the exact way we're doing it, and our formula is completely proprietary. You're not going to be able to go out and buy it from somebody else. We're not white labeling it. We're not selling it to anybody else. You're only going to get it under the Sorona label. So anybody who's claiming that it's the same thing under a different label, they're probably pulling your leg.
yeah. Important to know.
Yeah, unless they somehow just figured out how to do the same thing we did, which that I think would be pretty impressive, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how you got your information, but a lot of us are just kind of going with the flow and the information is coming. If
Well,
we
I
have,
got the for the
yeah.
formulations, my idea for the formulations was actually through a divine download. I got it in meditation. And when I first approached our scientists and researchers and developers about it, they were like, most of them were like, I don't think this is gonna work. This ain't gonna work, bro. And then I'm just like, let's just try it. Let's just try it. And so finally, we tried it and worked through things and kept doing it and doing it. And it was like, I'll be damned. It actually works. It's actually, it tastes good. It's potent. Like doing the test, because you have to test to see if the glutathione's still there, if it's stable and all this stuff, because you can measure you can measure a lot of things in aqueous solutions with different scientific methods, and that's what we do, and we can figure out what's in it. And that's why, so if anybody has a question about um, well, what about this glutathione product? Can I test it? You can actually take it to a lab, and if they have the right equipment and the setup to do it, they can test it and they can tell you how much is actually in it. It doesn't, like, kind of a joke, but it doesn't really take a rocket surgeon. I always say because brain surgeon and rocket scientist, right? It doesn't take a rocket surgeon to really figure this out. It just takes a lab that knows how to do this stuff, and they do it on a regular basis with a lot of stuff because companies everywhere, people everywhere, for different reasons, are bringing stuff to them because they want to know what's actually in it, especially at the smaller levels, like the micro level and the nano level. And
Mhm.
so you could even take, if you wanted to, you could take our product and take it to a lab that tests for that, and they'll tell you what's in it, and you can compare it to others. And like I'm very open about that. I invite people to do that, to compare ours, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to find that not only is ours very stable, has a long shelf life, it's very potent. There's a lot in it, and it actually works compared to others where even if what I don't care what kind of supplement it is, if you pick it up and read the label, it could actually have in there like originally what they all they're required to do to put on the label is what they put in it originally. It doesn't tell you how stable it is. It doesn't tell you how long it's actually going to be good. It doesn't tell you, the process they use to develop it. Because like if it was heat or chemical extraction with a lot of things that can destroy the nutritive value and the bioavailability, it doesn't tell you the bioavailability, right? So you would have to, actually test these things in a technical fashion in a lab that's set up to do that. But we do it with our own stuff, right? We know what's in it. That's how we know what's in it.
Mhm.
That's how we know what's in other people's stuff too. And they can make claims all they want and say, well, you don't know that. And there's those very specific claims. And I've actually had companies tell me that and say I'm defaming them. I'm like, it's not defamation. I mean, I'm allowed to test stuff. I'm allowed to give my online review as a podcaster. I'm allowed to. I mean, we do. I've talked about this before. It's a very common thing here in Nashville, especially. Producers and engineers have their own podcasts, and they'll do reviews of like different guitars and microphones and preamps and
Mhm.
soundboards and all this stuff. And they may be using a certain mic, like this is a Shure SM7 microphone. I may think this is the best thing since sliced bread. I think it sounds good. I like it, but it's not just the microphone. I have a huge chain of preamps and equalizers and all kinds of things that it all goes through to make the exact sound that it makes that you're hearing my voice sound like right now, right? Well, if I ever find a problem that I didn't know about with anything in my whole audio chain, including the microphone, then I'm going to talk about it, especially as a producer and engineer, right? And I'm going to say, okay, well, I switched to this and here's why. That's called giving a review. That's not defamation of character or anything like that. That's not smearing. That's not libel. That's not slander. It's giving a review. And there are factual ways to test things with microphones, just like there's factual ways to test things with supplements. And you may get varying results. Like I could get a bottle of one company's product and we could test it and it was this result this day. Well, then I get another bottle, and then we get slightly different results another day. There's a lot of environmental factors, temperature, pressure, when it was bottled, how old it is, what was going on in the facility the day they made that particular bottle or whatever. But so just to let you know and everybody else know, don't let any supplement when you're talking about this. Don't let supplement companies bully you and say, well, that's libel or slander or defamation because you're saying this product's better and then ours isn't that good and ours breaks down. Well, they actually do, and that's a known scientific fact. So unless you're actually slandering somebody and making claims that aren't true, or that to not be true, especially if you're doing it maliciously, yeah, that's defamation. But if you're just literally giving a review of a product and talking about your personal experience, giving your personal testimony to the best of your personal knowledge, uh, just because those findings aren't good and the company doesn't like that you're pointing it out doesn't mean you're defaming them, right?
No.
So anyway, just so you know, because I always have to let, especially influencers that are promoting this product, because what we're doing is so great, and there are a lot of companies out there freaking out right now that because they know what we have, they've gotten our bottles, they've tested them, they understand how powerful and potent our stuff is, and they're shaking in their boots like, oh my God, are we going to go out of business because Corona is so awesome? And it's a valid concern, but it's like, well, maybe you should rethink what you're doing. I don't know.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, there's going to be so much change, and small business is the wave of the future, and it's not going to be
Right.
this. Yeah, so the way that you set it up is just beautiful. So that's really
Yeah.
exciting as well, on
Right.
top of all the other stuff. So thank you so much. This was great. I love
Yeah,
it,
it's fun.
and I'm really excited to continue to take it and put all the stuff underneath.
Hmm.
All the links will be underneath, including to your website and your show, and send me all your stuff. And yeah, I'd love to talk to you again about it and see how it's going after we
Yeah, for
go.
sure. And if you want,
Yeah.
and if you, I think it's good to do a more introductory type thing for your audience and anybody who may watch this. But if you want to do a more, technical deep dive of glutathione and what it actually does as an antioxidant, how it detoxifies, ours crosses the blood-brain barrier because it's nano-sized. It helps your body deal with what they're calling now forever plastics or forever chemicals, the microplastics, heavy metals, aluminum, graphene oxide, all of that stuff. It is the master, not just the master antioxidant, but it is a master detoxifier in the body as well. It helps with tissue building and repair, helps at the mitochondrial level with your energy production and keeping things clean and firing on all cylinders, so to speak. Massive immune system support. And there's even a lot of scientific studies. Like if you go on Sorona.org and you type, it's at the top, close to the top of the website. It says "See the Science." You click on it, it'll take you directly to we'll take you to another page and you click on see the PubMed studies. I think it says it, see PubMed studies. It'll take you to a page on PubMed and the word glutathione is already pre-populated in the search bar. And so it pulls up automatically all the glutathione studies. And there's about 192,000 studies on glutathione right now and how amazing it is.
Yeah.
There's even stuff on there. And again, I'm not making medical claims. I'm just telling you what's out there. There's studies that even say that it may improve psoriasis. In fact, I've had a lot of people. There's a guy. Do you know Chuck Swindoll? Um, he's an influencer, and he actually just sent before and after pictures to Joe and Scott from TrueStream because Joe and Scott introduced Chuck to this, and he's had this skin condition since he was a kid. Like he's basically had it his whole life. That's what he said, and it was nasty, like big red patches of it. It's not. He said it's not psoriasis or anything like an eczema or anything. Some weird name I can't remember what it was that he was diagnosed with, and the doctor said there's no cure for this. He got our skin spray recently, and just within a matter of days, he shows the progress pictures just day after day, and it's almost completely gone now at this point.
Wow.
I mean, massive. And again, I'm not saying that I'm not making a claim that our stuff cures or prevents or treats any disease. What I'm telling you is his personal testimony and his experience with it. You can try it for yourself. But what I'm saying is there's also a lot of backing studies that say one in particular that seems like it may be kind of related to that stuff is that glutathione is known to help improve psoriasis in a lot of studies. It's known to reduce cell damage in fatty liver disease in a lot of studies. There's some studies that show that it can improve insulin resistance. There's studies that show that it can increase mobility for people with peripheral artery disease. It could there's studies that show that it could help against autoimmune diseases and on and on and on. So go read the studies. Again, I'm not making medical claims. I'm not saying our product does that or does not do that. And you get why I'm saying it that way because
Mhm.
unfortunately I have to because we're under attack by the beast system. But you guys you're smart enough. Your audience is smart. They can read between the lines. They know what to do. Just go do the research yourself and try. There's only one way you know is try the product.
Mhm. And ask questions under the in the
Yeah.
comments. We'd love to hear that
Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure. Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ethan. This has been
Yeah.
great. Yep.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
See you.